Hello, my name is Mark Taylor. Welcome to the Education on Fire podcast network. This show is sponsored by the National Association for Primary Education. Hello and welcome to the Education on Fire podcast. The place where we share creative and inspiring learning in our schools. Primary Music Special, Episode 81. Hello, this is Mark and Carol Aveyard. Hello.
Hi.
So we are in Manchester and we're just recording from the Music and Drama Education Expo. We've been wandering around today looking at all the stalls and experiencing some of the workshops. And what's your impression so far?
We are having a really good day. I think this has been a really good time, hasn't it? We've met some really nice people, looked at really good resources, met people behind the resources that we already knew before. It's been a really good day.
So we've been going around, we've chatted to people from Cheranga, we've chatted to people from Out of the Ark, all of people that you will have heard on the Education on Fire podcast that I did in season 4. The other really interesting thing is because of our primary music membership site, we've been talking to people who are really interested in what we've been doing and really like what we're going to be offering, and then also in turn really going to be actually able to offer you some great deals and also some great customer service really in terms of the next step, and I think that's been really exciting.
Yeah, it has been really exciting. We met some new people, the percussion people, the samba people were really good. I would like to get involved with them, and you already knew one of those already, didn't you? It's a small world.
It turns out that Mike and I were on a percussion workshop week. I'd like to say maybe less than 20 years ago, but I think it might be the other side of 20. But yes, I do remember Mike, and yeah, it was a fantastic course actually that we did with Mike Skinner, who used to be principal percussionist of the Royal Opera House, and he took us through a whole range of stuff, and yeah, that was a very good time and a really great week of learning. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go around some of the exhibition. We're going to go and talk to some of these people that have been excited about what we're doing and get them to give you a bit of an inside track and what they can offer and how we're going to develop working with them.
Yeah, let's do that.
So hello, I'm now joined by David Liggins, and he's from the Ocarina workshop. Hi David, thanks for joining me.
Hello Mark, nice to meet you.
So tell us a little bit about what is the Ocarina workshop and how did it come about?
Well, it came about because I was teaching up until 1979 and then took a very good career move of backpacking around South America, exploring, getting out of the classroom, and I suddenly discovered instruments and things that were way out of my knowledge. And one instrument that is lost all around the world is little round flutes. And these are in museums in South America. No one knows what they are. When I got back to England, I went on a search. And by 1983, I'd found British makers who could make me round flutes that I could take into school. And I very fortunately was broke at the time and living with my parents and needed to earn some money. So I did any sort of single bloke stuff like supply teaching, primary school, secondary school, adult education. And I literally used these new ocarinas with 5-year-olds through to 80-year-olds, and sometimes in a single group where grandparents and grandchildren were there. And it worked like a dream. So that was the 80s. Through the 90s, we got married and we really developed the business so that we could supply anywhere in the world, a lot to international schools. We developed from handwritten, beautiful calligraphed music books, which were calligraphed by one of the world's greatest, to computer. We were probably the first publishers of computer-generated music in Britain. We had to spend more than our house was worth on Apple Mac computers and other gear. And that meant that we had very high quality books from the word go, and we kept them all under one roof. So since then, we've been publishing more and more music, teaching resources, with the aim that instead of people requesting an ocarina workshop from us in their school, they can actually just get things through the post from us and ring us for advice. And they've got materials put up on whiteboards to put in their children's hands and the teaching expertise they need. Main things we're concerned about are keeping music live in school, and especially instrumental music, and especially tuned instrumental music.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of opportunities for singing, plenty of opportunities for percussion, but not many tuned instruments are very easily accessible.
Yeah.
In fact, as a teacher who's taught huge numbers of classes in different age range, I don't know of any other instruments where I could confidently go to the Royal Albert Hall in 2013 with 3,081 people, giving them all an instrument from scratch, and they play for 7 minutes classical music continuously and win a Guinness World Record.
Wow.
So it is an absolutely unique instrument with a very sweet sound, and as a flute player who has made disgusting noises from a proper orchestral flute for many years, I'm asthmatic as well, so I struggle to breathe. This instrument is unbelievable in the hands of children. This is why we're here. We're here partly to meet music teachers who are experienced, if they can get away from any bias or any preconceived ideas of flutes have to be tubular,
Yeah.
or they have to look like orchestral instruments, then they'll soon learn that the educational principles of playing an ocarina are such that you are developing a child's all-round skills, not just musical skills, but skills of manipulation with their fingers, skills of listening, skills of breath control, a whole range of things,
Yeah.
and of joining in together. So we just work on this from home. We've got a little business which supplies all around the world to international schools. We're not often out of the office because we have orders that pile up.
Yeah.
So if anyone ever asks for stuff, they get it same day, next day, and it's put in the boxes by the directors of the company, which is David Liggins, Krista Liggins. We're still happily married after all these years of ocarina work. But we do hope to tour the world a bit more and to see some of the excellent work that's going on. I should also say that in the hands of experienced music teachers, these things can be unbelievable. We've had groups that have won the Outstanding Performance Award at the National Festival of Music for Youth.
Right.
But equally, in the hands of a teacher who's reticent about music, who thinks this is all a bit beyond me, who might dare to do a bit of singing, but instruments are scary, we can actually supply something that any teacher in the quiet of their own home can manage to work out.
Yeah.
Or even if they fail, if they give one to an interesting kid aged 9 or 10, the child will teach them. It's a very child-friendly instrument. And we even have schools where the CD-ROM software that's flashed up on the screen is allocated to the child in the class by rote, and children lead the music sessions.
Right.
And they decide what to play, and they help the rest of the children to play. So it's child-friendly, child-centred, and any teacher can become a music teacher. Okay, if you're experienced, you may be a more complete music teacher and have more to bring to it. So for that reason, we are now preparing even more materials that not only help you to read music if you want to, and children to read, or to read from charts, which work with all children, even if they have learning difficulties. But we're also preparing materials that will take children all around the world so they can not only hear music from different cultures, they can join in. And so they can play their ocarina in African style or Egyptian style or Irish style, and also through the history of the world, because the ocarina is a strange instrument. It's a very pure sound, and it's a bit like a very bland food where by itself it's fine, but if you add spice, the whole meal tastes spicy.
Yep.
Or if you add something else, it tastes of that culture. So the ocarina, if I played a tin whistle and I played African music, it would sound Irish. If I played Egyptian music, it would sound Irish. If I play an ocarina and I play African music, it sounds African, because ocarinas come from Africa, from South America, from Asia.
Yeah.
And our instrument blends so beautifully, so that if we have really brilliant backings, and I can't lay claim to the brilliance of these, because a friend of ours does these to a high quality, then the children are playing music with genuine early music backing, or lyre music from 1000 BC.
Right, yeah.
Whole range.
So it really is that once you've sort of got the idea and once you've sort of got going, then we are able to open the world into your world of ocarina playing and all the resources that you have there, which is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to make sure we've got your details and links of how they can get in contact with you and all of that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
So any teachers that want to really sort of take this to heart and get it going, we can make sure that they've got all your details and get you in touch.
And the thing is, we care as well. We're a husband and wife team, and we people today have been gobsmacked, quite honestly. There's no other way of saying it, because they've met us for the first time.
Yeah.
We've met them for the first time. They've used our stuff for 15 years in fantastic ways, and we've been learning from them just as they've been learning from us.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us, David.
That's okay.
It's been really lovely, and chatting before as well. We've sort of been round
and
the
good
fair
luck
really
in
well.
editing all this waffle. I've just talked continuously, but never
it's
mind.
absolutely fine. It's really great, like you said, just to really get an idea of the people behind the resources that we often have the opportunity to see. I think that's the greatest gift of being here today, so I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. Great.
Welcome back, and I'm now joined by Vicki Smith from the school's printed music licence. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Can you just give us a little bit of background about what is it you're here to do and what is it you're trying to publicise?
So we're just trying to give out information really and make teachers aware that they have a licence. So the licence scheme we have is the school's printed music licence, and that allows teachers to photocopy sheet music and also make arrangements of sheet music, providing an original copy of the sheet music is owned. The problem that we have is that although the scheme's been running since 2013, not all teachers know that they have this licence or the opportunity to do that.
So it really is. If you've bought some music, which you're able to then use in your school, you can then arrange it and you can use it within your school for performances within your school. It just needs to be within the school confines rather than taking it out into the wider world.
Yeah, so the licence is designed to help teachers give students as much access to music education as possible, and it means that they can make arrangements of that music, perform it as long as it's part of the collective education of the school, so it's part of educational activities of the school.
Great, and also the photocopying was a big thing I picked up on earlier as well. It's the fact you can copy music if it's within that actual
You
licensing.
can, yeah, as long as you own the original of the music, you can make as many photocopies as there are students in the class. That's absolutely fine.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for chatting to us.
You're welcome.
We're now joined by Mike from Inspire Works, and Mike and I have a bit of a history because it turns out that I'd like to say that this side of 20 years, but it might be maybe slightly longer than that.
I think it's slightly longer.
Anyway, we won a percussion course in Canford with Mike Skinner, who was then the principal percussionist of the Royal Opera House.
Yeah.
And I remember I went on 2 or 3 of those courses, and they were absolutely amazing.
They were brilliant.
So great to sort of catch up again and see you here. So can you take us through what's Inspired Works and how did it come there from all that time when I knew you before?
Yeah, okay. So I think after we met then, I studied percussion at Guildhall School of Music and Drama for 4 years, did the BMUS course there, and always thought I wanted to be an orchestral percussionist, and then did it for a few years, and I think I found I wanted to play more notes than a classical percussionist often does. But at Guildhall we did loads of African drumming and lots of world music, and then a couple of years after graduating I met my now wife Jackie, and she's a theatre director specialising as being a children's theatre director. So she literally just came home from school one day and said, let's give up our jobs, go and live somewhere where music, dance and drama are closely linked, and then stay as long as we can afford to stay, learn what we can, buy as many resources as we can, then come back to the UK and teach it as workshops. It's quite a specific vision. I said, this sounds great, and we kind of worked out where should we go, and I said, let's go somewhere hot.
Good idea.
We're going to say
when you can go anywhere.
Yeah. So it turned out the music teacher at the school, she was teaching head of dance and drama part-time at that point. He was married to an Indonesian lady, and he's quite well known in the Indonesian gamelan world in the UK. And so he'd said about going to Bali, because Bali, there's different styles of gamelan across the Indonesian islands. Balinese gamelan is really, really rhythmic, and there's some really clever stuff that happens interlocking rhythms. So he said, you as a percussionist, Mike, you'd love it. So we went there and we fell on our feet, ended up living with a Balinese family. My teacher was a royal in the Royal Palace there, so I went to one of the Royal Palaces every day to have gamelan lessons, which is amazing. He sorted out some instruments for us, and we got a gamelan set of instruments for 30 players made specially for us, and that was great as well, seeing metals being moulded into the notes, seeing gongs being made and things. And my wife had lots of dance lessons there and shadow puppetry lessons as well. And then that was kind of the birth of InspireWorks, really. We thought this is a great idea, but I hope schools in the UK like it. So we set up a very basic website and came back, and we found it was very popular. I think there was a couple of things that were appealing. One was it was whole class, so we had enough instruments to take 30 children, and instantly that was very appealing rather than just half a class or a selection of children. But also, because we didn't have our own venue, we had to go into the schools.
Yeah,
so we had to try and get a way that we could make our gamelan, which weighs just under a ton, to make it portable, to get into schools for a day. So we did that, just the two of us, for a couple of years, got more and more popular, drew upon a lot of the African drumming that I'd learnt at Guildhall and added some of that into InspireWorks as well. And then over the years, we've just been adding more and more facilitators. So this academic year, we've got 15 of us who are all specialists in different world music genres. So, for example, we've got 2 people who do Japanese taiko drumming for us. They're some of the UK leaders on Japanese taiko. We've also got South African gumboot dancers and Bollywood dancers and things like that as well. So it's always looking at different aspects of world music, and always whole class, right from early years. We've got a whole early years program we call our Drum Club Cafe, right up to A level, and doing a lot of teacher training as well.
So there's lots of stuff, and you can probably hear in the background, Mike's got a great sort of demonstration of all the stuff that's involved in and what it is now, and that sort of takes us sort of really into the fact that there's this online presence as well that you can actually now that schools can get involved in as well. Yeah,
so we've realised over the last 15 years we've been running it, we have seen a big shift in music education. I think 15 years ago there weren't really any djembes around. Now they're everywhere. But you're still finding a lot of teachers are not quite sure what to do with them. So they might have a lot of African drums or samba drums, whatever. So we've also found, because we live near London and we've been very much based in London, the South East, it's been hard for us to expand geographically with the model of one facilitator visiting the schools.
Sure.
So by putting everything online, it kind of meets the need of where teachers or schools already have drums, and the children then drum along to our videos, and all the learning's there. It's got arts award through it as well. But it also really helps us expand geographically, and that's why we're here today in Manchester, letting lots of people in the Northwest know what we're doing.
Absolutely, and we were chatting before, and we think it really is that combination of, there's nothing like having a facilitator come in and show exactly what it's all about, but that's not practical one sort of 30 or 33 weeks of the year or whatever it needs to be. And also the fact that you can also then do it across your school, with the sort of the first access and that kind of ideas. While they work great for the 10 weeks or so they might be in a school and for that particular class they're doing, what about the rest of them? Whereas this is a way of actually embedding like a whole sort of culture of music within it, really.
It is, yeah, and we had great fun when we filmed all the videos, because filming them for the different ages, we actually put some photographs underneath the camera of each age group. So, for example, when we were doing the Key Stage 1, we actually put photographs of 5 and 6 year old children underneath, just to remind ourselves we are addressing this video to make sure our language is appropriate, our whole way we're delivering everything is appropriate for the children of that age range as well.
It's great, and here on the stand today you've got instruments and things that you're able to sort of support schools with as well if they need them. So it really is sort of it's not just the starting point, it's sort of everything that you would need if you're going into sort of world percussion and all of those different types of rhythms. And we'll make sure we've got all the links and all the contact details, and you've heard Mike chatting as well, so you'll have a real idea of the face and the voice behind InspireWorks. So thanks very much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
So I'm now joined by Dan and Jack, and they're from Norman's Music. Hello, thank you for joining me.
Hello.
Hi.
So let's start with, what is Norman's Music, and what is it that you offer everybody?
Well, Norman's Musical Instruments, we've been running nearly 60 years next year, and we specialise in supplying the education market, musical instruments and accessories.
And it's a really broad range of instruments, isn't it? Just standing here, we've got brass instruments, we've got what we call primary percussion instruments. It really is across the board.
Yeah, 100%. Initially, we started out, going back 50 years as a traditional brass and woodwind dealer, and that's sort of still core to our roots. However, that's all expanded now. We do everything from, say, ukuleles, beginners percussion, drum kits, guitars, live sound, you name it, we can get it.
And so it really isn't a location issue. If they get in contact with you, you can make sure they get whatever it is that they would need.
Yeah, 100%. We are, we're based in Burton-on-Trent, so Staffordshire, very central location, and we distribute all around the world. It's no problem whatsoever.
And one of the things we were chatting about before is the fact that people that have been through our primary music membership will know that actually having done some ocarinas or having done some boom whackers and that kind of thing, it's where to go next, it's where to go. And we were chatting before about maybe having the opportunity to actually make sure that you know exactly what it is that you might like when we sort of send them in your direction, having actually decided that actually the workshops we've done have been really good and the kids have loved it and they want to expand a bit further.
I think what we find is a lot of the time, like you mentioned earlier, teachers, they're not music teachers. They're not teaching. Music isn't there. They might even know anything about music. So having access to information of how to teach music first of all, but then actually it's that next step. Well, okay, now I know, where do I get the stuff from, and how can am I getting is it a good price? Is the stuff high quality? And that's where we come in to try and make sure that all the products that we get, they're tested. They go out to schools and music services, so we make sure that what we're getting is, I suppose, fit for purpose, maybe is the terminology to use. And then we know that we're 100% confident in selling high quality instruments and accessories. And it's not just a case of us for just, we don't just want to sell anything. It's actually selling good products that we know that actually is going to help the young musicians of today and of the future to progress within music, because that's what we're all about. We're all musicians, so that's what we want.
Absolutely, and we know in schools things have a habit of not staying in their pristine condition all the time. So, like I say, the quality is a really important issue that we actually have. And Carol will testify to this, that having had a clarinet that needed repairing, she raves all the time about what a great customer service job you did and got it fixed and all of that sort of thing. So it really is important for us to make sure that actually the sort of people that we can work with and send you to from as a teacher, you feel confident that actually it really is the way forward, and you can just literally get what you need with the service that you need as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I worked in the customer service side as well as the sales side, so I kind of did a bit of an apprenticeship in one side and then did a bit of both. So I used to deal with stuff like the repairs, even warranty repairs and things like that. And it's quite good a system we've got. I mean, it's a very good communication. I think we pride ourselves on that. We've got like a centralised ticket system. So if you rang up and said, "Oh, how's my clarinet getting on with repair?" You've probably got a ticket number. I can look at it. You can look at it. Our directors can look at it. So it's quite an open book, and we try and offer the same service across the board. So and link things in. So if you say if a school did have a clarinet repair and they want to then buy some percussion, we'll just send it out together. Yeah, it's not a problem. Like, we can do that. So we've got quite a close knit team. It's not as many as probably people think. There's about 6 of us in the sales team, and then 3 and 4 in support kind of area. So it's not a massive team, but we do cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, and it's really nice to sort of be able to put, well, certainly a voice to the name and the organisation, having been here, and I think that's really key, that people feel like the human element, rather than there are lots of websites to visit,
true.
And even if the websites are fantastic, actually to know that there are real people behind with real important customer service and really wanting to do the best for their customers is really
definitely
great.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thanks both for chatting to me. It's been really, really nice catching up, and
no problem, pleasure.
And both having sort of a face to the name and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
And we'll be in touch soon. Hello, and I'm now joined by Charles McDougall, who's from the Voices Foundation. Thanks very much for chatting to us.
Hi there, Mark. Hi.
So, can you tell us a little bit about what is the Voices Foundation and where do you sort of fit in within the organisation?
Absolutely. The Voices Foundation is an organisation that aims to really get every child and every teacher in every school singing, and that's done through various means, done through classroom musicianship, where practitioners go in and they work with the children and the teacher to just get the children singing and feeling rhythm and feeling pitch, and alongside that runs the training for the staff. And also there's a choral element to the work that we do as well, where we aim to really grow the classroom musicianship into year group choirs and whole school singing in singing assemblies, and also aspirational choirs sort of right at the top of the school. And we have CPD for that too. Where I fit into it is that I'm one of the choral directors for the Voices Foundation. I spend a lot of my time visiting choirs and working with the choir to improve their sound, but also with the teacher in charge of the choir to help them develop their skills as trainers of the voice and as directors, as choir directors.
Right. So does it start for people who are just getting singing going in schools to begin with and all the way through to the choirs, or is it just that if you've got a choir already that you'll come in and help them out?
No, it can start right at the very beginning, and one of the wonderful things that the musicianship strand offers is building children up right from the word go to feeling pitch, feeling rhythm, having never really engaged with that before. And also with the teachers. They don't have to be specialists. They can be generalist teachers because they can be learning as they go as well. But we find that method of training right from the bottom up really then feeds into the choir. Likewise, or rather alternatively, I suppose, we also are able to go in places that have choirs, have really strong choirs, and use that choir to champion singing in the school and perhaps work backwards into year group singing and then classroom singing.
And do you find what's the biggest hurdle that some teachers find? Is it confidence? Is it repertoire? Is it a way of getting the standard higher? What's the thing you come across the most?
Certainly, I think speaking for my colleagues who spend a lot of their time in the classroom with the musicianship side of things in the classroom, it's just simple fear of the voice and the idea that actually singing is an incredibly personal thing and perhaps a little bit terrifying at times. So getting them to feel confident that they can model a song and getting them to feel like they can engage with feeling pitch and feeling rhythm. On my side of things, which I know a fair bit more about, it tends to be that the people who often stand in front of choirs have been given the choir because they're the most musical person in the school. And actually, being a great musician isn't necessarily the only qualification you need to be able to stand up, and that's a confidence issue.
Yeah.
Stand up in front of choirs to feel that you can inhabit the role of director and give all of those signals and all of that energy and all of that charisma that's actually required to get a large group of kids singing.
So what's your sort of overall end game if you had one? Is it just to sort of build on the skills that they need, whether they're starting at the beginning or getting a final performance, or is it just about the confidence, or what would you say is the overall objective really?
I think one of the things that we try to do with all of the staff that we meet is remember that they are incredibly skilled and we want to build on the assets they already have. Now sometimes that's actually just about uncovering that skill. They have it already, but they didn't know that they did, or they didn't know they were good at pitching, or they didn't actually realise that their sense of pulse was actually very strong, or that they had the confidence to actually stand up and direct a choir. But all of that is wrapped up in empowering them and making them feel more confident and letting them know that actually it's okay to make mistakes along the way because we're all in a process of learning the whole time. And so, I think confidence is a really important thing, as well as trying to embed those underlying skills for them so that they feel they can be masters of the craft.
It's fantastic. Thanks so much for chatting to me.
Thanks, it's been a
pleasure.
pleasure.
Really great just to find out a bit more information, and we'll have all the details and stuff on the website so people can check out exactly what you're doing.
Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks for listening to the Education on Fire podcast. For more information of each episode and to get in touch, go to educationonfire.com. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire.